Hello, everyone. Welcome to the season finale of season three of Making the Grade Project. Today, you are joined by the hosts, myself, Georgia, and Christine.
Hi, everyone.
We don't have a guest for you today, but we do have a lot of fun in store. We're recording this in December of 2025, which our theme this month is joy. December is a very joyful month because of the holidays, but we've been talking a lot in our business about how joy really makes your brain work even better. And so we're excited to be here, to be joyful, to celebrate everything that we have accomplished in this past year, and to just talk about our reflection on how the season went, how our business is going, how our personal life is going, and how that is helping us to evolve and shift things in our lives and business as needed. So we're really excited to be here. So much has changed. It's stretched us. This year has stretched us in a lot of ways, but all for the good. And we are really excited to get into what's next, what to expect. And one thing to expect for the podcast in season four, launching in January, is that you're gonna be able to watch the episodes if you want to. And so we're starting that with this last episode of season three. We're gonna post this. So if you're watching it, cool, you can find it on YouTube if you're not watching it. But people have asked, can we watch these episodes? So we figured, hey, we're all about helping people learn in ways that they learn best, and some people are visual more so than auditory. So if you don't want to listen to the podcast, now you can watch it. So yeah, we're really excited to be here and reflect on this past season.
Yes, if you hear sirens or Christmas music outside, there's a holiday parade going on in our town right as we're recording, which is so sweet. But it's, yeah, another little celebration of joy. So hopefully that doesn't get caught in the background too much, but kind of fun if it does. Yeah, what a year! What a year it's been. So some of the bigger pieces, I guess, of evolution that Georgia was just talking about is that in the new year, so podcast first and foremost, season four, we have a new show format, which we're really excited about. We have a new focus in terms of who we're going to be interviewing. So we are kind of closing our doors to inviting guests on, and we are opening the doors for anyone within our community. So we have really shifted our business over the last year to involve a lot more of our executive function work, which has been really exciting. We have been continuing to work with the same organization. So in terms of like stats and kind of like those celebrations that we were talking about, we have, let me just see, we have renewed and created 9 new partnerships, which is really exciting. We have gone through trainings across many different industries, which has been really exciting as well. So one of the big shifts that kind of happened, I would say like right around the time of George's maternity leave, and we'll get into like all the personal stuff too. But one of the bigger shifts is we were getting more requests for executive function support with the educator prep programs that we were working with, and that interest has kind of evolved beyond the education world, which has been really fun and exciting. I think, I don't know if other industry professionals feel this, but we've been kind of reflecting on recently that we feel like when you are, you know, in an industry and you feel like you are an expert in a subject matter, you're also joined by other experts within the industry. And it's not that you feel less of an expert, right? But I feel like in entering newer industries, it's been really cool to see the excitement around learning about your brain and neuroscience, and how understanding the way that your brain functions better can help you in your role, and it doesn't need to be education based. So that's been really exciting. We've been working with let's see, real estate professionals, law professionals, lawyers, paralegals, travel industry, finance, and nonprofit. So that's been really fun, seeing the way that our work is being interpreted and used across different industries. So we're really excited about that and the partnerships that we have created, the new partnerships, and looking ahead to the new year to be doing more of that, whether that's through workplace trainings or coaching. So that's another big thing that we've started to coaching along the
Yeah.
workplace.
I think we started this podcast, it's called Making the Grade. It's about success, right? And it's been about defining success on your own terms. And we started out, since we're educators, we started out with interviewing lots of teachers and them sharing their stories of their first days in the classroom to where they're at now, some being still in the classroom, some not being in the classroom anymore. And even though our podcast is rooted in education, it's really evolved into this broader conversation about how executive function skills are really that foundation piece of success. And that's not just the case for teachers, it's not just the case for students, it's the case for everybody. And so that's kind of how our work naturally evolved into us working with more than just those in the education field and working in all the industries that Christine just mentioned. And it's been really exciting and it just feels like a really natural progression. Um, all of the work we've done with teachers and with our students when we were in the classroom was rooted in an executive function without actually saying that. And so being able to share this work with different industries and watch the changes unfold in their lives is just a really special way to tie our teaching into what we do now.
Definitely. Yeah, and coming back to like the idea of being industry experts and kind of like seeing the way that the information is received, like it feels a little more exciting at times, right? For like, if I'm being honest, I think when you're in a room of people who kind of like know what you're talking about and understand a little bit about, like teaching and learning and how that works
Mhm.
versus being in a room where people are like, I have no background in this and this is
Yeah.
something that I want to learn about. This is something that I know will benefit me. It
It
feels
is. It's exciting and we're happy about it. And we are feeling that joy that, we posted something recently about how like people think joy is just for this time of year. And that's not the case. You should be able to feel joy throughout your entire year, throughout your entire life. And that's not to say
Mhm.
there's not going to be hard moments. Of course there are. But we're following our joy and we want everyone to know that there is way to integrate more joy into your life. And that's kind of what we helped people do in our first coaching cohort of entrepreneurs this past year, is to integrate more joy and productivity into their lives by simply laying that foundation of understanding their executive function style.
Mhm. Yes, yeah. So the executive function work that we're doing, we're offering it in a few different ways. So in 2026, we're going to continue with coaching. So that can be with individual coaching or group coaching. And we'll share in the show notes all the information about how to find out more about the details of that. But this past fall, we were in our first coaching cohort, which was really exciting. We had a few different industries, and the work that we're doing around executive function, the 8 domains that we teach about and work with people on has to do with your professional life. So executive function spans, your day to day in terms of everything that you do: personal, professional, emotional, and we are taking the workplace lens because that's where we are the experts. That's where we've seen the most change, and that's where we feel very confident in supporting. And of course, all those areas interlock, right? And they overlap. And not to say that, just because you're focused on this workplace goal, you're not going to see shifts in other areas of your life. Like the goal is to be intentional about setting a goal for that has to do with your work environment. Some examples from the last cohort. A real estate agent wanted to get a new listing in 8 weeks, or this year we're doing 10 weeks because we realized we need the 2 extra weeks for pre and post assessments, and intake and goal setting and all of that. But other goals were, another professional wanted to promote his book more, and find more clients that aligned with him and his sphere of influence, right? Like he wanted to find more people that were like-minded, and kind of manifest his network.
Mhm.
So it really it spans. You don't need to be an entrepreneur. You don't need to be, in any specific industry. You just need to think about in 2026, in this next year, what is something that I want to change, for the better in my
Yep.
work life, and how do I do that, right? And that's where we help you. So, coaching is, one of the ways. Another way is through workplace trainings. We're so excited. We have one coming up on Monday. Actually, that's a really fun one. A local event for event planners in the Boston area. And then in January, we have another event coming up, around goal setting. So we'll share more information about that. That's an in-person training as well, and would love to get on the calendar for more. So if you're thinking, you're listening and you're like, I would love to learn more about that with my colleagues at work. I would love to have a half day training like that where I'm not just sitting in a room like, does this apply to me? We'd love to come. So check out the show notes.
Yeah, we would love to come. And if you're listening and you're curious about the coaching piece that Christine was just talking about, we recently interviewed Brendan, from our previous cohort, about his experience with coaching and all he accomplished and understanding more about his brain. So we'll link that in the show notes too. You can watch that interview with him. It's really interesting to hear him talk. He's also a really funny guy. So if you want to laugh, there's a couple laughs in there too. Um, and if you're a parent listening, we are going to be offering some support with students in the new year. It's not fully figured out how that's going to look, but we're going to be welcoming on a new instructor who really is an expert with working with students that need support in executive functions. So that is an exciting expansion that we'll be adding, and exciting in a lot of ways because we want to help as many people as we can and expand our, mission, but also it still ties in that educator piece that we have all of our background in. So yeah, that's exciting too.
Super exciting, and a funny story about that, like that expansion, or not a funny story, but um kind of like an honest take, I guess. We were, at least I'll speak for myself, I was kind of resistant to the idea of starting to work with children again. It's been, we have our own children now, and I miss working with kids, but we just kept seeing, over time, interest and, the framework and the curriculum. And I think I had this block, or this idea that, like, how are we going to start doing that? Like that
Mhm.
feels like a big undertaking, and it has just evolved so naturally. And it's really nice that like someone came on board recently, a teacher in like an ideal district, and was like, I want to spearhead this. I want to start doing this. And how do we do it? And we're like, let's do it. Let's start. We've been getting requests over the years. We've been saying no, and we feel like we are at the capacity now, thanks to our wonderful team, to be able to
Mhm.
support that, and that is really exciting
Yes,
for me personally. I feel like
totally.
it was a block for a while.
I feel like that's a good point to give a shout out to Mahua, who is like our head of
Yes.
MTEL support, because that's not going anywhere. We still offer MTEL teacher prep support to educators mostly in Massachusetts, but you can still find all of those resources on our website, one-on-one support, our study guides, all of that. And Mahua, who's a wonderful teacher, a wonderful friend, and has just taken that on in making the grade. And so she's wonderful. And so shout out to Mahua. Thank you, Mahua. We are so grateful that you are doing that aspect of our business, while we are more in the background of that and can focus on what's really lighting us up. And that's actually a really good example of
Mhm.
if you're an entrepreneur or a small business owner, the power of outsourcing, which we talk a lot about
Yes.
that in our coaching is, you can't do it all as a business owner or just a high achieving professional. You wear a lot of hats and there's so much to get done and you can't do it all or you will burn out. So creating those systems by understanding your brain and what you can let go of, is going to just make more time for the things that bring you joy in your business and more time for joy in your personal life too. So yeah, really excited about all of it.
On another note of outsourcing and in terms of celebrating our wonderful team, we also want to shout out to Lydia,
Mhm.
our marketing specialist who does all of our beautiful social media content. And actually, that's another thing to celebrate. Hold up, we got another
Oh
stat
yeah, we
here.
do.
Um, we have been compiling everything, our end of year audit, looking
Hmm.
at like with the three C's, right? What will we continue? What are we going to celebrate? And what are we going to cancel?
Love it.
Which is another thing that we love to do with our clients. But in terms of celebrating, we have grown our community with the help of Lydia to 3,685 new connections this past year. So that's across social,
Yeah.
email marketing, all of our platforms, and that's super exciting to for us to see because we're a newer business and a newer team, and I remember, starting at like zero and being so excited for our first 100 followers. And yeah, it's really exciting to see those numbers. So thank you, Lydia, for all of your hard work.
Yeah, Lydia's awesome. Um, cool. Okay, so I want to make sure we do have some notes here. We're trying to make sure that we cover everything we want to cover. So we've talked about our previous season. We've talked about where we're at in our business. Um, should we start looking forward at kind of what to expect next season and getting into that a little bit now with asking ourselves some questions, or did I miss anything about reflection? I would
Just the
make
personal updates, and that's it.
personal updates. Yeah. I mean, my biggest personal update is I had a baby. So, this time last year, I was sharing about how I was going to be having a baby, going on maternity leave, and, you know, how we needed to start outsourcing, which is how we got these two wonderful women that we were just speaking about. Um, and so here we are a year later, and I have a 9 month old, which is so crazy. Becoming a mom has been hard and it's also been very rewarding. I've always wanted to be a mom, so um, it's the most important role I've ever had, and I love it so much, and I love her so much. But I've also had to be really flexible. I'm actually going to talk about this in a few minutes when Christine and I ask each other some questions, but um, I have had to be flexible in a whole new way, which is not easy for me because I'm very rigid. I like things to go a certain way. I like to have a plan and have to follow it. And anyone out there who has a baby or even is a teacher or has spent any time with kids, it's very obvious that they don't really care about your plan. So, I've learned a lot about flexibility and I've had to let go of a lot of things because I just have learned that I can't do it all. And even though I consider myself an expert in executive function and being organized and having a plan, and I help other people do this for a living, that doesn't mean that it's not something that I'm always working on. And so thank God for Christine for reminding me how to let go of things and outsource things and make sure to make time for myself. That's, a huge one. It's harder to make time for myself now that I'm responsible for another human, but it's something I'm actively working on because I know how important it is.
It's so true. And you're doing such a great job at it.
Thank you.
Last night, for example, we got to have girls' night out, so
Yeah,
fun.
that was so fun.
One of our other best friends.
Girls' night out home by 8:30. Anyone
Yeah,
else in this club?
the best, the only
Yes.
kind.
Yes.
Um, no, you're doing a great job of balancing it all. If you, real quick, if you had to think of what's one thing that you've let go of that's been hard for you, or like the most challenging, you think that you've had to be like, no, I have to be flexible about that, but I really don't want to.
This is going to sound so stupid, but it's the first thing that came into my mind is that my daughter's bedroom is right off our kitchen. And like
I was gonna say something about dishes, right?
I'm the type of person, yes, I want all the dishes cleaned and put away before the morning because I just like that I don't know. My brain likes that. Um, I can't do that anymore because if she falls asleep and there's dishes in the sink, I'm not gonna risk waking her up over it. That would be crazy. I'm not even that crazy. So that's one thing. But I have been able to, I'm a big believer in doing things the night before to set yourself up for success for the next day. So even though it might not be the dishes anymore, there are other things that I can do the night before to make the next day go more successful.
I love that. What's one thing you gave up in 2025? Doing dishes. Oh, that's
Oh
so
man.
funny.
How about you? We'll share a personal update and yeah, just share your
Yes.
personal update first.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was thinking back like over the past year I did not have any new kids, but I think a big one for me was definitely traveling more. So now that my children are 6 and 3, I felt like I had this like I love to travel with my husband as a family and I felt like it was the first time I'd left the country since they were born and they were home, and that was a really big deal for me. And
Yep.
it was just so nice to be able to do that. And I also got yeah a weekend away for a friend's wedding. But yeah, just it was really nice to be able to do that a little bit more. And then other like personal stuff. I was just thinking, I was like, what are the things that I've been like that I don't, I'm not a big goal like person in terms of like a New Year's goal because like Georgia and I will just, we're really good about, I mean, it's what we do for a living, but we'll decide like this is something I want to be intentional about and just
Yep.
start making small adjustments. And one of them was over the last few years, I've been trying to get outside with my kids more.
Hmm.
And so, like, the small ways that I was doing that would be anytime we felt overstimulated in our house, especially
Yeah.
like around the winter, we would get bundled up, go outside, play, go for a little walk. And it's led to a lot more. Like a lot of like happy little habits that I didn't even intend for. So again, this is going back like 2 years when my youngest, who's now 3, was born. I realized that my oldest and I needed to touch grass every day. This is really important for both of us. And that has led to we become like Mass Audubon members and we go on family hikes. And now we've actually been tracking. And hold on, I'll tell you. I haven't updated for all of December yet, but we are at how many hours outside? I think it's like close to 800.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, 791 hours. So that's
Wow,
a big deal, right?
that's a
And
huge deal.
like
Yeah,
I never would have known that outside of that. My reading goal has suffered this year. I'm at like 57 books. Last year I did close to 70, but that's okay because other things have taken precedence and yeah,
that's
so it's been a
better.
fun year.
That's still a lot of books. Yeah, I think I'm at like,
Yes.
I'm trying to check right now. I'm at like, I don't know, 15 books, but I had a baby, so that's my excuse.
Everything kind of shifts with that.
Um, how would you say? I would say I'm making the grade by just being a mom and being and yeah, like I became a mom. Like that is my success this year. And on
Mhm.
top of that, I have like I'm integrating slowly like all the other pieces of my like life back in.
Mhm.
But I think like I saw a post recently where it's like you're not just a mom. Like you're like being a mom is a huge deal. And so for me, just be entering into this phase of motherhood and, slowly making time for the other things that light me up, and
Mhm.
evolving my business accordingly to fit into my life as a mother. That's how I'm making the grade right now. How about you?
Amazing. Yeah, no, you're killing it. Um, I think I'm making the grade right now by. Should have reflected on this prior. No, I like that it's on the spot. I think I'm making the grade right now by allowing myself to get curious about like where I feel resistance and like having the space to kind of explore. So one of the things that we talk about a lot with our clients, and so I've been reflecting on. It's so funny when you're doing the work like with other
Mhm.
people, you reflect on how is this going for me a lot more
Yeah.
often, I think, than you normally would. And so I've been thinking a little bit about like, oh, if this is coming up for me, like why is that? And then
Hmm.
allowing myself space to explore that. And I feel like social media it comes up. We've talked about this forever, but I appreciate so much how you like give me just like this creative freedom and like sometimes I like put weird shit out there and like you're just like yeah whatever and then like I love that I know that I can always express myself in ways that like maybe not always align with like our brand or like it might not always be like
Our
the
brand is
correct
us.
thing
Yeah.
but exactly like
Yeah.
to
So,
I love that I feel like I have that
yeah.
creative freedom or to be like I always call Georgia with like a crazy idea like and you are always open to it so I just
Hmm.
appreciate that that's how I feel it's been making the grade over the last year.
I love that. Well, speaking of making the grade, our podcast is going to shift a little bit in the new year. So I think we might have mentioned this at the beginning, but we're going to be anyone we interview is going to be someone who has worked with us in either a coaching aspect, maybe some educators that have worked with us too in a coaching capacity, um, and anyone who's gone through our trainings at a workplace. So we're really excited for that, and we've tweaked our interview questions a bit for these new guests, and so we're gonna give you a little taste of that now, and ask ourselves some of these questions as we wrap up this season finale episode.
Yeah, we're really excited about this
Yeah,
part.
we really are. It's gonna be awesome.
All right,
All
so
about new stuff.
first, I
Yes.
know it's fun. New year, new season, new questions,
Yes.
everything. All right, so the first part when we are talking with people that we've worked with, we always start with our executive function assessment. So, this is a series of 10 questions, and it will give you a result of one of four personality types. And Georgia and I do not have the same personality type. It's half similar. But in thinking about your assessment and your personality type from there, it kind of helps you to approach your work life balance from that lens. Like knowing that for example, I am a planner and a connector. And that is so true. That tracks for me because I'm an organized person um, and I feel like the piece that I need though is accountability. I really thrive when I have someone that I can like thought partner with and know that I need to have things done by a certain time. I do hold myself accountable, but I do a better job when I tell someone this is what I plan to do and intend to do it because I don't want to let anyone else down. So that definitely tracks for me in terms of uh, thinking about my work personality. Fun fact too, when you take the quiz from a personal standpoint, you might get a different results. That
True,
happened with
true.
my husband. He was like, "Oh, I'm a totally different person outside of my work life," and
Yeah.
might
We'll
be
put
true for you
the
too.
we'll put the link in the show notes because you can take it from both perspectives and see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so I'm also a planner, which you probably gathered by my needing to do the dishes every night. I
Mm-hmm.
like things in order. I'm an organized person. Um, I struggle with when things don't go according to plan. But overall, planning is an asset of mine. I see it as a strength. And I'm also my next highest one, there's four, by the way. I don't know if we said that, is reflector. And um, that is something I'm working on because reflectors have a lot of positive strengths when it comes to executive function, but they're also struggling a little bit with too much reflection, which can, come out as perfectionism a bit. And that's definitely something I'm working on. And having a daughter has helped me with that because I'm just like, I just don't have time to be a perfectionist. Like, I am in some ways, but much less so. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of important power in reflecting. I think a lot of times people don't do it enough, and especially this time of year, it's a great thing to do before you set your goals for the new year. Reflect on what went well and why this year, why or why not. So there's positive aspects to reflecting for sure, but I'm kind of working on that less positive aspect where I can reflect a little bit too much and overthink. So,
Yes, and another reason why we like to talk about your personality type is because it helps inform how you work and how you plan and how you set goals, knowing and keeping your persona in mind. So for me,
Right.
I know that in order for me to be successful in working with my team, that I have to share information with Georgia. So we use Trello for all of our project management, and I know that I have to meet with her every week, and talk about like, this is what I'm going to focus on this week. These are the things that are high priority, and have like a common plan in mind. I also am a person who needs to meet with our team like at least monthly. And even though like sometimes it's just like, hey, how's it going? And like to see them, I'm like, okay, I feel better now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we're all doing the same stuff.
yeah.
And even though it could have been said in an email, I just
You like
like
the
it helps me.
connection.
I do. It helps
Yeah,
me to be
you're a
like, okay,
connector.
this is going somewhere. This is working.
Yep,
There's something about seeing that in real time that's like most helpful for me.
totally. The next question that we're going to be asking our guests for next season is um, when you think about executive function domains or skills, there's 8 of them, by the way, that we cover with our clients. Which ones feel like more of a challenge for you? And so, yeah, we're not going to get into all 8 right now, but Christine, why don't you talk first about which domain is like one of the biggest challenges for you?
Yes. So this is an area where Georgia and I are very similar, actually.
Yes.
Um, and so that can be helpful and challenging. We share hacks about what is most helpful for us, but for me, it's always task prioritization. Always. Yeah, it's something that it's hard for me to see. Like when I think of the rocks versus sand analogy.
Yeah.
I want to work on like the little pebbles
Yeah.
versus the rock. However, over the last few months, I have noticed this shift with when I start working, I really do the worst first now. So there are a lot of different hacks that we use, like eat the frog or worst first. In terms of like, okay, what do we have to do to get momentum? And I've found that the hack for me is, in order to get that momentum, I don't do well with like, oh, these quick wins, like the 5 second, like, oh, I'm just going to send this email and I'm going to do this, like, because I have this looming thought of like, I still need to do that big thing that I don't want to do. So I
Mhm.
actually start with my rock first versus the sand. So
Oh,
yeah, task prioritization will always be my struggle, but
I love that. It's a struggle for me too. And I read something recently or saw something, I forget, but I love it. It's the reason that we want to do easy tasks first is because our brain likes to close the loop and it likes to be like, okay, that's done. Like, don't have to think about it anymore. But in reality, those really hard, big things that we're resisting take up so much brain space that if we were to close the loop on those first, you would actually feel more free and have more space and feel less stressed out. So, yes, definitely something I'm working on as well. For the sake of choosing a different domain that I struggle with, I'm going to choose flexibility. This has kind of been a theme in the other things we've talked about. But yeah, as a planner who likes things to go according to how I have planned them, being flexible is hard for me. And so it's something that I've had to really work on in having a baby. Um, my husband and I are both entrepreneurs. My husband works, way more than I do. He has so many things going on in his business. And so I am taking care of my baby full time and also running a business. And so I have to be very selective at, when I'm going to work and what I'm going to do during that work block to move the needle in my business. And um, it can be really hard when I'm like, okay, she's going to nap for an hour and I'm going to get X, Y, and Z done. And then she's like, just kidding, I'm going to nap for 20 minutes. And I get frustrated that I didn't get the things that I wanted to get done. And so I'm working on that and it's actually helping me with my task prioritization because I'm realizing, okay, I have to be flexible. Things are not going to go according to plan often. And so, how can I utilize my time even more efficiently?
you do a great
Hard.
job at that.
Thank you.
One of our clients said that Georgia might be a robot recently, and sometimes we wonder.
I was like, I am ChatGPT. No, I'm just kidding.
With all the things she's able to get done in that 45-minute block. Um, Okay. Another question. We're still teasing out what we want to call this.
Yes, but this
There
is
are a
a fun question to
few
end on for
ideas.
sure.
Like, what is the most unsexy thing that you do to manage your time? Like, or another way to like phrase it would be like, what do you do that other people might think is weird to function executively, or
Yeah.
it's not there yet. You can tell. But anyway,
It's not
um,
glamorous, right? Because I think
exactly.
that's the problem with, like, not to go on a tangent, but like, our client Brendan expresses this in his interview of like, the work we're teaching is not groundbreaking, right? Like, I think that we collectively as a human population think that to be successful, we need to have all these glamorous habits and, the fancy planner and like all these things. And that's actually not true. Maybe that new fancy planner is right for you, but um, to be successful, you just need to find systems that work for you, and they might not be fancy and sexy and glamorous, and that's okay because they work for you. So,
Or
uh,
that you need to be like a type A mom,
yeah,
or it's funny, I
right.
think when people get the like the inside scoop of like, oh wait, you actually do that? Like if you saw the status of my car, you would be appalled. You'd be like, this is not Christine's car. This is
Yeah.
disgusting.
I
Because
was just in it last night. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't notice at all.
thank God you were in the front seat. No, just I have two young children, and that's something that
Not a
what's the
priority.
expression? Seats
Yeah.
taken, right? The seats taken by
Yeah.
many more important things. So my car
Right.
is not the cleanest, but anyway. So, in thinking about this, we do a lot of these things, so it's kind of hard to choose actually because we have a lot
It
of
was,
really
yeah.
weird hacks that work for us. We've learned our brains are very unique recently, and all of our clients are. But I would say the one that stuck out for me is when you think of planning out your week. I feel like everyone's like, on a Sunday, I'm gonna sit down and look ahead and take like an hour of my time. I do this on Fridays. So Fridays, I close out my week. I'm like, what's left? And this is intentional because I like to turn my brain off to an extent on the weekends. When I'm with my family, I try not to think too much about work stuff. Obviously, to the
Yeah.
best of my ability, but I like to see, all right, what is left on my to do list? And then I plan ahead. I schedule in my workouts. I look at, all right, what do we need for groceries? I plan out my meals, my family's meals. I look at childcare for like, when do I have for meetings? I communicate with my husband about what his work schedule is like because he also works for himself. And yeah, that it takes about an hour of my time. I schedule in. So what I use to schedule, or I use a few things. Georgia will share her hack, which is mind blowing to me. But I use my Notes app, I use my Google Calendar, and I use my physical calendar for my family so that we're all in alignment. I also check my children's apps for their class communication. So I feel like that's probably, and then I check my work email to make sure I'm not like missing anything. So it's time consuming, but to me it's worth it. And then I like to know, starting my week on Sunday, I know what I'm getting at the grocery store. I know how I'm laying out my outfits throughout the week,
Less
and
Sunday scaries. No Sunday scaries when you
exactly,
do it that way.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, totally.
I love that. Um, yeah, my hack is I'm trying to think of like the most concise way to explain it, but I have tried to use fancy planning apps. I've tried to use fancy note-taking apps. And I love my Google Calendar. Don't get me wrong. I put everything in my Google Calendar, like from a meeting standpoint, whether it's like a work meeting or an event I'm going to, or like just something I'm doing that I want my husband to make sure that he sees in his calendar, like, oh, George is busy at this time. So like blocks of time go in my Google Calendar for sure. But what I do is I use the iPhone Notes app for like almost everything. And the reason for that is because I always have my phone on me. If I need to jot down an idea, Notes app. If I want to like, you know, my husband and I use a shared note to talk about like what our daughter's eaten and napped throughout the day. So we're on the same page about that. So I love that for the collaboration feature. But a step further, I have a note for like all the important things that are kind of going on like this month. So like if it's Christmas time, for example, like buying Christmas gifts, like just kind of a running list of things that I know that I need to be doing. And I do typically do this on Sundays, not Fridays, but I will make like my weekly list of like, okay, what's important for this coming week? Is there anything from my month note that I need to do this week? What on my calendar do I need to do? Like, for example, if I see on the calendar, like we have an event coming up, like, oh, that means that I have to print out new flyers. So like that will go to my like to-do list for this week. Um, so I kind of pull from both of those places to have all in one place in one note everything that needs to get done for this week. And then I use the checklist feature on the note to put, the 2 to 3 most important things per day that need to get done so that I'm not overwhelming myself with, this extensive to-do list. I have a place to add all the things that come up, but I'm not looking at it all the time, but I'm able to get it out of my brain and into this note, of all the things that I'm kind of have running in the background. But when I think about what I need to do, it's all in this one note. Um, and I make it really achievable for myself that like this is all the stuff throughout the week, but these are the small things that need to get done today. So again, when I have those short windows of time, I know what's important, to really focus on. And if the event's not till Friday and it's Monday, I probably don't have to go print the flyers right now. I could, do something else that's more top of mind. So
Yes.
I use the Notes app in a million different ways. I could do a whole episode on that, and maybe I will. That actually sounds kind of fun. Um, but yeah, the
I'd be
Notes.
curious to your madness because I know it works really well for you. And I also use the Notes app for like my day-to-day to-dos.
Mhm.
And we have like similarly structured notes. I think you're really good at, and maybe it's the check, like the dopamine hit of checking it off. Maybe
Yeah,
I
I
should
love
keep that
that.
in mind.
Yeah, I know it's really fun. But anyways, it's not sexy and glamorous, but iPhone Notes app, everyone, it's free, it's efficient. You can bucket them into different folders if you really want to. Of course, I do that. But yeah, love it.
That's okay. That's like where the for me it was like missing the like in my brain I'm like it needs to be like work focused or like this focused or
Yep.
that's where you do a little bit more with the organizing. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this is longer than we intended, but that's fine.
Yeah.
We are so excited to bring you this new format in the new year, and we're so excited to be talking more with all of our brilliant clients and hearing more about how their brilliant brains function. And we love the work that we're doing. We're so excited for this next chapter. So our goal is going to be the same to help people understand best how their brain works so that you can build your life and career in systems that support your learning. And just huge thank you to everyone who's been listening since the beginning. I can't believe that we're about to enter into our fourth season. Thank you to our 3,685 new connections. And we can't wait to hear from you in the new year.
Can't wait. Yeah. Keep following along. Subscribe to the podcast, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And yeah, if you want to learn more about executive function, we love chatting. So yeah, happy holidays, happy New Year, everybody.
Yes, Happy New Year.
Bye.